I arise in the morning torn between a desire to improve the world and a desire to enjoy the world. This makes it hard to plan the day. E. B. White. Your calendar may look responsible while hiding the choice underneath, whether today exists for tomorrow or itself. White's dilemma feels familiar because it appears every morning in respectable clothing. The alarm rings. The alarm rings. Your hand reaches for the phone, and within seconds, the day becomes a corridor of obligations, messages, deadlines, exercise, errands, news, family, and the vague command to matter. You call this planning. Yet beneath the schedule sits a judgment that no application can automate. Improving the world asks you to sacrifice the present. Finish the proposal, answer the request, learn the skill, repair the relationship. Pleasure can wait until your duties loosen. But duties reproduce. Each completed task uncovers another, so breakfast becomes fuel, sunlight becomes background, and conversation becomes an interruption you politely endure. Enjoying the world makes the opposite promise. Leave the inbox closed. Taste the coffee. Walk slowly. Protect your peace. Yet enjoyment can also become camouflage. The book remains unwritten, the apology unsent, and the difficult duty untouched because comfort has acquired a philosophical defense. That is why the conflict is moral, not logistical. Balance sounds as if two measurable substances merely need equal cups. But an hour cannot be split without being changed. Half attention at breakfast feels like neither presence nor service. Half commitment leaves both futures hungry. The danger is subtle. Noble ambition can excuse your absence from your own life, while refined self-care can excuse your absence from your responsibilities. Both stories preserve innocence. In either story, you never admit that choosing means allowing something worthy to remain undone. Your packed morning may therefore be an escape from authorship. A timetable tells you what comes next, but not what deserves this Tuesday. Until that is decided, efficiency only accelerates indecision. The harder truth begins where planning ends. You must give this day a purpose, knowing another good purpose will lose. White's wit opens that wound. Two other thinkers show why it matters. How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. Annie Dillard. Dillard's sentence converts White's morning puzzle into arithmetic. A life is not stored somewhere beyond the calendar. It arrives disguised as ordinary units: 12 distracted minutes over toast, 40 alert minutes at a desk, an evening surrendered to a glowing screen because your mind feels scraped thin. Dillard wrote this in The Writing Life, a book shaped by the severe realities of artistic work. Writing did not float above daily existence as a grand identity. It required chairs, pages, discarded drafts, and hours that could not be recovered. Her point reaches beyond art. Your declared values matter less than the repeated texture of your attention. Consider a familiar experiment conducted without a laboratory. You promise that affection matters most, then carry your phone from room to room. A notification vibrates against the table while someone you love pauses halfway through a sentence. You glance down for only 3 seconds. Nothing catastrophic happens. Still, the day records the choice. Repeated enough, that reflex becomes the relationship. The same evidence appears at work. You may spend a morning refining a color-coded system for a project whose frightening first paragraph remains blank. The system produces visible order and temporary relief. It also protects you from discovering whether your ability can meet your ambition. Usefulness has become theater. Pleasure performs its own theater. You might label 3 hours of passive consumption recovery, although your shoulders remain tight and your mind grows duller. Genuine enjoyment usually leaves a sensory trace: loosened breath, remembered flavor, a clear image, warmer attention. Avoidance leaves only elapsed time. White identifies the split. Dillard supplies the ledger. Every modest repetition casts a vote for the life you eventually call yours. The revelation is uncomfortable because your calendar testifies. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Soren Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard names the structural trap beneath White's indecision. Meaning becomes visible in retrospect after consequences have formed a pattern. Choice happens before that clarity arrives. You must spend the hour without knowing what the hour will mean. Your mind dislikes this exposure. It prefers problems with comparable quantities, cost, duration, distance, output. Those variables create the sensation of control. A moral choice refuses such measurement. 10 minutes with your child and 10 minutes answering an important message share a duration but not a unit of value. Their meanings depend on promises, timing, need, and the person you are becoming. Planning often functions as emotional anesthesia at that exact point. By rearranging tasks, you postpone grief. Every real decision kills an alternative. Choose concentrated work, and you'll lose an unrepeatable morning outside. Choose delight, and you may lose progress toward a commitment that gives your life shape. The sting is not evidence of a bad decision. It is the price of deciding. This explains why both virtue and pleasure can turn evasive. Constant service lets you avoid vulnerability. If you stay useful, perhaps your worth never needs examination. Constant enjoyment lets you avoid accountability. If every demand threatens authenticity, no promise can bind you. Each extreme removes the risk of freely choosing between competing goods. White's hard to plan is therefore not comic weakness. It is accurate philosophy. The future asks for stewardship, the present asks for presence. Neither claim can permanently defeat the other. Wisdom lies in making a temporary hierarchy without pretending it is eternal. That means the decisive question is not, how can everything fit? Everything cannot fit. The question is, which good deserves embodiment now? Your answer will be imperfect, but it will be lived. Tomorrow morning, do not begin by asking what can be completed. Before your thumb reaches the screen, sit at the edge of the bed and name the day's governing claim. Not your permanent purpose. Not your permanent purpose. Not a slogan. A temporary answer today is chiefly for repair, creation, service, recovery, celebration, or attention. The word chiefly matters. Wide-ing. It leaves room for duties without letting them seize the throne. A day chiefly for creation may still contain dishes, emails, and kindness. Yet when conflict arrives, your declared purpose decides. The draft receives your clearest hour. The inbox receives what remains. On a day chiefly for presence, reverse the order. Put the phone in a drawer before breakfast. Notice the bitter edge of coffee, the cold floor beneath your feet, the expression across the table. Presence is not laziness when chosen. It is a refusal to treat lived experience as raw material for some later achievement. Then accept the unpaid cost. If guilt appears while you rest, do not immediately obey it. Ask which promise the guilt represents. Some guilt protects a real obligation, some merely protects your addiction to usefulness. If rest turns numb and shapeless, test it against your body. Enjoyment should return you to contact, not erase contact. Likewise, examine ambition by its physical residue. Purposeful work can tire your eyes while leaving your mind coherent. Compulsive work leaves you unable to taste lunch, hear a voice, or stop without panic. The difference is not effort. It is whether effort serves a chosen good or merely prevents silence. At midday, pause for 60 seconds. ask whether the morning expressed its purpose. If not, change the next hour rather than condemning the whole day. Kierkegaard's forward motion requires revision without certainty. Dillard's ledger requires repeated attention. White's conflict requires a verdict. An honest calendar follows that verdict. White gives you the conflict. Dillard shows you its accumulation. Kierkegaard removes the fantasy of certainty. Together, they leave a demanding freedom. Choose what today is for, inhabit that choice completely, and let the unchosen good remain painfully good. A meaningful life is not balanced. It is deliberately spent daily.